everybody, Elizabeth here at Petals and Parchment. Thanks for joining me this week. I'm back with another set of bonus pages and we're slowly working through our May coral journal together. So if you didn't catch last week's episode where we built this journal, go back and watch that. I've attached the pages together using strips of paper. What I'd like to do today is show you some ideas of how to do the waterfall and then possibly work on the cover. I'm not really sure. I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. So I thought I would show you a few items that I found in my stash that I was pretty excited about. I found some coral vintage ribbon, and so I'm not really sure. I'm feeling quite indecisive this week. I'm not really sure, but I think it might be really pretty on the spine like this, and it would give it a little bit of color definition there that's different from the rest of it. So I'm not really sure if I'm going to do that or not. I found some sort of coral colored stamps in a stamp magazine. I also dyed a piece of burlap with some coral paint and water, and then I wanted to show you this before I cut into it because I just thought it was so beautiful. It's kind of a metallic stitched 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper, and it looks really pretty on the back too. And I don't know what's going to happen when I cut into it. I don't know if the stitches are going to come loose. I might have to glue them back down depending on where the cuts are, but I just wanted to show you the whole page before I possibly began unraveling it. So I'm really happy with that. So I think I might use that kind of stuff on the cover, but first I wanted to show you some ideas that I had for the waterfall. So I just finished watching Sophie's video on Sophie's Crafty Corner. So she had some fabulous ideas for her waterfall, including a tie closure that I hadn't even thought of. So thank you, Sophie. That is super helpful. Let me scoot you a little bit closer here so you can see what I did. On the back here, I just took a ruler and a pencil and drew some lines for myself because I thought I would take these hole punches that I have here and make some punches around the perimeter of the card, and I just want to make sure that I'm like lining them up as best I can. So there's a little heart. I'm going to do a heart in each corner because this particular punch only goes so far. I can't do it all the way up the side with hearts. So then I thought, well, I'll do that heart in the corner, and then I'll just use this tiny little hole punch to punch some holes to kind of connect the two hearts side to side and up the sides. So wish me luck. I'm going to try my best to keep everything lined up here. Oops, not in the camera there, sorry. Well, that didn't go quite as well as I'd hoped. Maybe I can stick another one here in the middle and sort of, but it is homemade. So let's continue up the side here. Try to stay in the camera for you. Then I'm just going to erase the pencil markings, and then we'll have like a decoration on this card. I'm doing all of these things I'll show you before I glue everything together in the journal. I should have counted how many I did up the side, but that's okay. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and it probably doesn't look that great, but we're going to continue decorating anyways. Well, the lines didn't help as much as I thought they would, but maybe I can do some stitching through that and then that will help hide it. So I think I'll do that. I'm just going to erase these lines on the back. The pattern on the back actually sort of disguises the fact that they're not straight better than the front does. So you could glue it down the other way like that if you'd like. I did back the waterfall pieces with one of the pages that comes in the kit. Each of the backs, when you flip them up, will have a design on the back. I wasn't planning this, but I'm going to go ahead and grab some floss or some thread. So I'll be right back. Okay, I am back and I actually found two. I think I'm going to go with the darker one in this case though and see how that looks. So I'm going to do 3 times the amount for each side. So I'm going to do 9 times the length. And then I'm going to do 1 just to make sure that I have enough space, because I have actually gotten halfway through sewing something and run out of thread, so I would rather not have that problem again. So I'm just going to tie a little knot here at the bottom. I don't know how many knots it will take to not pull through my little holes, so I'm just gonna try 4 and see if that works. And I've got my little handmade needle book here. The trick is finding one that the thread fits through easily but will also fit through the hole. I usually test it first, and that one seems like it'll work pretty well, so I'm going to try to thread this. Oop. This is going much better than expected. Okay, so I think I'm going to start up in this corner where it's kind of straddling the score line, and then that way I can also glue it up here in the corner. So I'm just going to, let's see, I think I'll try a saddle stitch, which is going over and then coming back through the hole. I think it's called a saddle stitch. There we go. So then you go over and back through. Keep the string in the front and then go over and come in through the back. Make sure that you come through the hole, which I don't think I did this time, did I? Yes, I did. Okay, so there we go. Just kind of a little link. So I always remember to just keep my string in the front here and then bring it through itself. I hope I have enough string to get all the way around. Hold it in the front and come through the back. Okay, and then now I'm going to hold it in front and come through this hole. See what happens. Okay, I don't like that, so I'm gonna undo that stitch, go back through, and go through the heart after all. So coming from the back, and that looks a little bit better. I probably would have just gone with more circles had I anticipated doing this. That's okay. Pull this in the front and come through the back. Pull this to the front and come through the back. Now, of course, you don't have to slow stitch at all. You don't have to punch holes in yours. You can just fast forward to the part where I'm going to be assembling my waterfall card if you'd like. Looks really good across the bottom here. Oops. Got a knot. Hopefully I can undo this here. Whew, that was lucky. Okay, through the back. And a couple more up the side here. Looks like 10 lengths was enough. I keep getting hooked on the corners. Be sure not to pull too tight because you could rip the paper. Okay, and then the last one here, I'm just going to go underneath here and just tie a little knot. Wrap the needle around a few times and then pull it all the way tight. Try not to rip it myself. Cut that off and cut this piece off a little bit. Alright, so there's one idea. You could do hand stitching. And then I'm going to skip one card, hold this down here, and set this to the side. And then on the next card, I'm going to cut a square out of the center. Hopefully that's in the center. And then using some acetate, I'm going to create a little window here. So I'll probably just cut this down. You can use a piece from any packaging that you get and make a little window. What I usually do is just cut it slightly bigger than the piece, and using double-sided tape will adhere this one, and then I'll take my fussy cut image, double-sided, and glue it in the center, and then put another piece of acetate on the back so that it's sandwiched in between. Then we can also, if we want to, cover this with another piece of paper so that you don't see the acetate when you flip the waterfall. Scoot you a little bit closer here while I show you the process. Just take your double-sided sticky tape. You can get this at the Dollar Tree if you don't have any. And I use an acrylic stamping block to cut it. Super easy that way. And just work my way all the way around. And then just burnish that down really well so that when you peel off the backing, it doesn't come up on you. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these out a little bit more. There's like a white border here. I sent them through my cutting machine and didn't do the best job, so just going to cut that one down to the size that I want, then glue them together and then finish the cutting so that they match. They're not the same image, but they're very similar. Hopefully I got that lined up pretty well. Okay, had a little bit of wiggle room, so now I'm just gonna go in here and fussy cut it a little bit closer to the edge, probably gunking up my scissors in the process. If you can, just wait until your glue's dry so you don't have to clean your scissors later, but baby wipe will take care of that. So I've got this done now. Just gonna clean up the other side a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and I'll just use my ink here to get rid of any white edges. And then I'm just gonna put a little dot of glue and spread it out with my finger. Hopefully it dries pretty clear. It says that it dries clear, so I'm counting on you, Art Glitter Glue. And I'm just making sure that it's in the center of my window. And then I'm going to continue the process again with this piece of acetate. Now, to make this easy on myself, I think I'm just going to use one of the cards that I already have instead of another backing sheet. First and foremost, I'm going to cut it to the same size, and I don't want too much bulk, so I'm actually going to cut that off, line that up at the top there, and cut this off the bottom to match. Now, the tricky part will be cutting the square in the same place on the second one. I probably should have done this before. I could have cut them both together. That would have been smarter, but I didn't think of this until it was too late. So I'm just going to try to make myself a little mark here and here, and say a little prayer. think it's crooked, but that's okay. First things first, I'm going to attach the second piece of acetate. I can't find my craft tweezers anywhere. There we go. And take my second piece of acetate and cover it like so that it's sandwiched in there safely. And then I'll just cover this guy like this. My suggestion would be, if you're going to try this, to punch both at the same time. Okay, and there's our next one. All right, and then here's this guy. Going to skip that one, and then the next one, a belly band like this, and then we can tuck something behind it. So first I'm just going to line up some glue on either side here and stick this one down and trim these off. And then we can decorate the front of the belly band with about some citrus. I don't like grapefruit personally, but it is super pretty. Got a little bit too much glue at the top there. I don't want to glue it down to itself. Then you can put something in there like that. And there's another idea, and then got a super mess here. And then on this last one, I was thinking about doing like a washi sticker. That one's a little bit more pink, but it is really pretty. I can't decide which one I should do. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Now let's see if I can get it unstuck from the backing. Then I've got these image transfers. So if you've never seen these before, you just cut them out and then take the backing off and put it on your piece, and then using an embossing tool or like a popsicle stick or something, you rub the image onto your art and it stays. So I've taken the backing off and I just stick it down like a sticker. I think this is similar to how like Cricut works when you do the vinyl, when you put letters on water bottles and things like that. And then you just lift it up and it should leave it on your piece. So that looks really pretty. So now it's time to put it all together. Let's see, where would this want to live? This seems like a good spot. So I'm going to start with the topmost piece and hopefully leave myself enough room. And this one works well because it already has the lines on it, so that will help me keep everything nice and straight, I think. I'm just going to continue gluing them down one on top of the other, using the lines in this page as my guide. There's our waterfall, and as you can see, still closes nicely, and I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the cover, so let me clean up this mess and see if I can think of something, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I gathered some things here and I'm just really struggling with this cover for some reason, so I'll just talk myself through it and glue some stuff down and try not to think too much about it. So I went ahead and cut down the paper I showed you in the beginning, and then I used like a corner punch to punch out these corners here, and this is the one that I used right here, and I think that's really pretty. It adds some detail. The threads were coming undone, so I just took a little dot of glue and stuck that down there so that it doesn't unravel any further. It looks like I missed one here, so I'll probably do the same right here so that it doesn't unravel on me. So I'll just show you. I'm just gonna glue this down real quick and smooth it to sort of look like nothing ever happened. That one turned out even better. Okay, so that's done, and I'm going to start by putting this down like off center, like so. So I still want to be able to see some of the cover because I think it's really pretty, but the white on the white didn't look so good like this, so I wanted to put my dyed burlap back here, and I'm doing it a little offset because the piece isn't big enough to go around the whole thing. So I'm just gonna do this here and stick that down first thing, and I'm just going to start building the layers and see what happens. I think before I stick this down, I'm going to ink around it. I'm using Stampin' Up! Cameo Coral. I'm using Fabri-Tac for this because I feel it really just works the best for fabrics like the burlap. And the great thing about this binding style, you can just open it up like this, completely flat, and push everything down. And then next thing I'm gonna use is this hourglass. I think it's really cool. It's got like little fish in it. And then last but not least, I want to decide if I'm going to use this here on the spine or maybe some lace. That does look nice, but I think I want a little bit wider lace. Okay, so I was digging through my old laces trying to find a piece that was wide enough and wasn't curly, and I found this like muslin material, so I cut a strip that was a little bit wider than the ribbon, and then when I tested it out, I really loved how it looked, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm finally feeling really great about this now. So I'm gonna make sure not to put any glue in the center. So I'm only going to glue the front and the back. I'm not going to put any glue in the center. That way it's free to move about, and hopefully that works. Prop this up and allow it to dry for a few minutes, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, here it is. I'm very pleased with it. I think that strip of muslin was just what I needed for the ribbon to work there, and I really love the scruffy detail that's here. It did cover up the burlap that I dyed, which did look really nice on this side, but that's okay. Overall, I'm very pleased with it. I was really concerned I couldn't figure out what to do with the cover on this one, and now I just love it. And it still opens completely flat, so it's really lovely to write on, and I think someone will love this. I just left the spine free and glued the ribbon on either side so that it could continue to move freely. And then we did this interesting waterfall project where we took every other card and turned it into something different. And then this interesting waterfall project where we took every other card and turned it into something different. And there's still plenty of room for customization here. We can add even more. We could put pockets here or decorate this side. So for now, that's where I'm going to stop. But I hope you enjoyed this project, and keep following along each week as we continue to work on it slowly together, building a journal with one simple project at a time to get the full effects of therapeutic art practice. Don't forget to show me what you're making in the Facebook group, and until next time, stay crafty, everybody. Bye!